Now, one of the differences in many of the conversations today and yesterday that I personally see is that we've got a lot of government-to-government work going on, government to NGO. And it's very focused on climate change, and that's very, very important, no question about it. But you know what turns on companies more than doing right by the environment? Is providing shareholder value, return on investment, profit. And I think there's an opportunity here with the kind of markets we're talking about in the developing countries to incentivize the private sector to go into these areas because they want to make money and at the same time do it with technologies that will lower the CO2 profile of these countries. And so the plan here certainly will get us down the road to a safer world environmentally. But it will only happen if we can bring the money forward. Before I get into this particular workshop program, I'd like to mention that not only is AEP very, very pleased that we could bring the Galapagos project to life, but we've been asked by the US EPA here in the US, the Department of Commerce, the Department of Energy, to take a pilot program that we developed in our corporate headquarters city called 3E and scale it up, first throughout the US and then internationally. 3E is an energy efficiency and sustainability initiative of those government agencies with us helping out in Columbus for industrial customers. And the idea behind this is to help our industries learn how to use electricity more wisely, give them the tools to evaluate themselves, to find the ways that they can save money, to find ways they can train new workers, and to become more sustainable because they're using less water, there's less landfills being filled, and so on and so forth. It's a very comprehensive, integrated approach to efficiency. And so one of the things that we're proposing to our colleagues in these various trade associations is that we have a plan that we can get behind. We have an energy efficiency program for industrial customers as well as for residentials. And we have a financing program that will help reduce the investment risks in developing countries. It's not on your slide deck here, but I wanted to mention it because it just was a request that we got, and we're going to act on it. So let me talk about this. As I mentioned, the hardware is not going to go on the ground unless we have dollars. And so in the E8, we said, so how do we do that? How do we make it happen faster? And the E8 has had a long history of working with UN agencies, and Andy Yeager and I were talking, and he said, listen, it's not going to be suitable for you all to do a human capacity building program if you only talk about generically what everybody else talks about. I'm talking about you, Andy. And the idea here is we're going to go into countries. In fact, we're going to be in Bangkok in 2 weeks. And we've invited 10 countries in the region, their finance ministers or energy ministers, to sit down with the private sector. And the private sector is going to say, we'd love to do more business. We'd like to bring our technologies. We'd love to bring our wind turbines in here. GE is going to be there. But we're uncomfortable about coming in with a lot of zeros because we're not sure if we're going to be able to, in the long term, get repaid. But there are ways that we'd like to work together with you so we can reduce the investment risk, and the financial institutions and we will be able to come in and we'll invest here. And we'll keep investing. And eventually you'll have all the electricity you need, and you'll be able to do it in a sustainable way. So the workshop basically is to set the table for trillions of dollars. That's a lot of zeros, ladies and gentlemen, trillions of dollars to be moved around the world and invested wisely. Some of that is going to flow through clean technology funds that are being discussed right now for the Copenhagen framework. Governments that are going to put their money into that pot are going to expect the United Nations agencies or whoever administers that fund to make sure that the dollars flow onto the ground and real results happen. They're going to want to see at the end of the tunnel that there's technologies there. So whether you believe that all of the money is going to flow through a tech fund, or it's going to be incentivized through private sector bilaterals, this kind of workshop program, we think, in conjunction with the UN agencies, is unique because it addresses specifically how each country can improve its attractiveness for capital. And it's going to take a lot of money to move this ball forward.